Gloria Allred, and you're watching GVTV News.
Thanks, Gloria, and I'm Randy Hansen. In today's world news headlines, U.S. general says turning point against ISIS will take at least 3 years. And out of Iraq, Kurdish forces break siege in Yazidis on Mount Sinjar. And in Syria, 230 Islamic State victims found in mass grave. And ISIS leaders killed as WikiLeaks published docs on CIA doubts about high-value assassinations. And out of Nigeria, Boko Haram kills 30, kidnaps 200 in village in Gamsuri. And a report says attorneys sought to free U.S. hostage in FBI-backed bid. And Pakistan kills 67 militants, revives death penalty after school massacre. In New Jersey, hopes Cuba thaw will bring capture of Black Panther Assata Shakur. And U.S. prosecutors sue New York City over abuse of teens at Rikers Jail. And Colombia rejects terms of FARC ceasefire offer. And Obama signs sanction bills on Venezuela and Russia. And U.S. strengthens protections for transgender workers. And Obama signs measure ending Social Security payments to Nazis. And U.S. would veto resolution to end occupation of Palestinian territories. And Chevron halts plans to drill for oil in the Arctic. In Peru, environmental defender wins court victory against U.S. mining firm. And ACLU sues Ferguson Florissant School District over biased elections. And Nebraska and Oklahoma sue Colorado over pot legislation. And out of Australia, 8 children dead, woman injured in mass stabbing. And report says gap between rich and poor hit a new high. GVTV News is broadcast on Grass Valley Television Division of Rural Counties Television Network, whose focus is on community involvement. We also air on NCTV. But before these stories, GVTV News would like to thank one of our underwriters who supports your only visual video news media in Nevada County. That's right, it's us, GVTV News. In today's first world news story, a top U.S. general in charge of forces fighting the Islamic State Muslim terrorists in Iraq and Syria has said it will take a minimum of 3 years to reach a turning point against the group. Speaking to reporters Thursday, Lieutenant General James Terry refused to give a more specific timeline. He said the first strikes were, 8th August, and so this is December. What's that? 4 months. I think we've made significant progress in halting the offensive and talked about the ability for them to continue to expand. In terms of terrain and geography out there, I think that what we must do, especially inside Iraq, is continue to build those capabilities. I think you're at least taking a minimum of 3 years. This week, Obama administration approved orders for hundreds of U.S. troops to deploy to Iraq as part of a mission to train and advise Iraqi troops. Kurdish forces say they have recaptured territory near Mount Sinjar in western Iraq from the Islamic State, freeing hundreds of Yazidi minorities who had been trapped there. The offensive involved thousands of Kurdish Peshmerga forces backed by U.S. airstrikes. In Syria, the bodies of more than 230 people killed by the Islamic State Muslim terrorists have been found in a mass grave. The London-based opposition group Syrian Observatory for Human Rights say the dead are members of a tribe that resisted the Islamic State barbarians in the province of Deir al-Zor. U.S. military leaders say 3 top figures from the Islamic State Muslim terrorists has been killed by U.S. airstrikes, including a military chief and deputy of the Islamic State leader Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi. The news comes as the whistleblowing website WikiLeaks has published an internal CIA document which reveals the agency's doubt about the effectiveness of such killings. Document which in 2009 described both the positive and negative impacts of assassinating so-called high-value targets. It warns that such operations can increase the level of insurgent support, strengthening an armed group's bond with the population, radicalizing insurgent groups' remaining leaders. WikiLeaks notes, after the report was prepared, U.S. drone strikes killings rose to an all-time high. In Nigeria, militants believed to be from the Islamic group Boko Haram have killed more than 30 people and kidnapped more than 200 in an attack in northeastern village. The village of Gamsori is near the Chibok, where Boko Haram barbarians seized more than 200 schoolgirls in April. New report finds the FBI backed an attempt by a New York attorney to free the U.S. hostage Peter Abdul Rahman Kasich from the Islamic State Muslim terrorists. His documents obtained by The Guardian reveal a plan by attorney Stanley Cohen, who represented Osama bin Laden's son-in-law and is due to serve an 18-month prison term over tax offenses, to negotiate Kasich's release using his jihadi contacts. But the plan fell apart when Jordan arrested a leading cleric who played a key role in the negotiations. Islamic State announced Kasich's execution last month. Pakistani jets and ground forces have killed 67 accused militants in northwestern area near Peshawar, where the Taliban killed 148 people, mostly of them children, in a school attack this week. Pakistan has also revived the death penalty for terrorism-related cases following the massacre, ending a 6-year moratorium. Thousands of convicted terrorists now face execution, some of them within days. Authorities in New Jersey have said they hope a historic warming of ties between the United States and Cuba will help them capture and imprison Black Panther Assad Shakur. In a statement, State Police Superintendent Colonel Rick Fuentes said, "We view any changes in relations with Cuba as an opportunity to bring her back to the United States to finish a sentence for the murder of a New Jersey state trooper in 1973. Shakur was convicted of killing Trooper Werner Forster after being pulled over on the New Jersey Turnpike. The encounter left both the officer and a fellow Black Panther, Zayed Malik Shakur, dead. Assad Shakur was said she was shot by police with both arms in the air and then again from the back. She was sentenced to life in prison but managed to escape and flee to Cuba, where she lived since 1984. I think she has a $2 million reward on her right now. Federal prosecutors are suing New York City over the treatment of teenagers jailed at Rikers Island. The move follows a scathing Justice Department report that found deep-seated culture of violence against young prisoners, recommended over 10 pages worth of reforms. Earlier this week, Mayor Bill de Blasio delivered a news conference in Rikers announcing the end of solitary confinement for 16 and 17-year-olds, but federal officials say the reforms are not coming fast enough, noting that 18-year-olds still face prolonged periods of solitary. Colombian government has rejected the terms of the ceasefire offered by FARC rebels. The FARC offered to lay down their weapons indefinitely as long as military did not attack them first, but Colombian President Juan Manuel Santos rejected conditions including international verification of the truce. He said, "These men from the other side are not angels. They are very difficult people that just sent us a Christmas gift, a unilateral indefinite ceasefire that we received as a good gift. What we received is like a flower, but when we open the gift, there is a stem full of thorns. So what we're going to do is remove the thorns from the stem, and we will be left with just the rose." FARC has declared temporary ceasefire around the holidays in the past, but the first time in decades, the group has offered no indefinitely lay down the arms now. President Obama has signed a new measure allowing him to impose sanctions, something new, on Venezuelan officials involved in a crackdown on anti-government protesters. The law lets Obama deny visas and freeze assets of those accused of violence earlier this year, which left dozens of people dead from both sides in Venezuela's political divide. Obama has also signed a measure allowing new sanctions against Russia, but says he does not plan to impose them yet. Obama administration has announced a new interpretation of federal laws that protects transgender workers from discrimination. The shift expands protections in the Civil Rights Act of 1964, allowing the Justice Department to sue state and local governments if they violate the rights of transgender employees. And President Obama, still in the news, has signed a new measure blocking taxpayer-funded Social Security payments to suspected Nazi war criminals. The measure passed rapidly through Congress following an Associated Press investigation which found that the United States has spent millions of dollars on benefits for suspected Nazis. The payments had continued under legal loopholes through which Nazis were persuaded to leave the United States in return for keeping their benefits. Obama administration has confirmed it will veto a UN Security Council resolution to end Israel's occupation of Palestinian territories by 2017. State Department spokesperson Jen Psaki says the U.S. would oppose the measure if it comes to a vote. She said, "We have seen the draft. It is not something we would support, and we think others feel the same and are calling for further consultations." Palestinians understand that. You may also have also seen President Abbas speaking to this earlier and have said they support continued consultations and are not pushing for a vote on this now. And the oil company Chevron has halted plans to drill for oil in the Arctic. In a letter to regulators, the company said it would suspend oil exploration indefinitely, citing the uncertainty of the industry. The environmental group Greenpeace says the move is further proof that technical challenges of drilling in icy waters where a spill is all but inevitable pushes costs far too high to be viable, especially with volatile oil prices. So I'm sure the polar bears and the walruses are happy. An environmental defender of the Andean region of Cajamarca, Peru, has defeated the U.S. multinational Newmont Mining Corporation in court as part of a years-long battle to keep her land. Newmont sought to evict Acuna as part of a massive open-pit gold mine project. She and her relatives were initially sentenced to nearly 3 years in prison after the company accused them of illegally occupying the land, but an appeals court has cleared her of the charges. Good for the indigenous people. In Missouri, the American Civil Liberties Union has filed a federal lawsuit against the school district for an area made famous by the police shooting of teenager Michael Brown. The lawsuit accuses Ferguson Florissant School District of using an election process that dilutes the African American vote. While more than 3/4 of the district's students are African American, there is just one black person on the 7-member school board. Suit seeks to change that, let the voters choose school board members who reside in their district. 2 U.S. states have sued Colorado in the Supreme Court over its legislation of marijuana, or legalization of marijuana. Earlier this year, Colorado became the first state to allow recreational marijuana. Nebraska and Oklahoma claim the opening of marijuana shops has led to an influx of drugs in neighboring states. Well, maybe you should legalize it and then everybody just stay where they're at. In Australia, 8 children have been found dead and a woman injured in an apparent mass stabbing. The bodies were found in the home of in Manora, a suburb of Cairns, and that's in Australia. Gap between rich and poor in the United States has reached a new high. A new report at the Pew Research Center finds the gulf between rich families and middle and low income families is the largest it's been in 30 years of data collection. Pew found that while affluent families became wealthier in 2010 and 2013, middle income families stayed the same while poor families got poorer. Well, maybe we should get some jobs for them. How about that? That's it for the World News today. Now, thanks to one of our underwriters who supports your only visual video news media in Nevada County. That's right, it's us. GVTV News. That's right, it's time for the police blotter. Pictures in the blotter are not from these actual events, but used for visual aid only. These public records are obtained from daily logs issued from Nevada County law enforcement. Nevada County Sheriff's Office on Thursday, 10:50 a.m., a missing person on the 26,000 block of Sweetland Road reported that he was alive and well at his home. He was subsequently removed from the missing persons database. 11:02 p.m., a caller from 11,000 block of Magnolia Road reported a possible theft. At 1:21 p.m., a caller from 22,000 block of Pleasant Valley Road reported that neighbor's cow got into the reporting party's property and damaged the yard. At 2:13 p.m., a caller from 14,000 block of Highway 174 reported two subjects removing items from a burnt-out house. They were later determined to be previous tenants, but advised not to return without the bank's permission as the burned-out house is in foreclosure. 4:25 p.m., a caller from 10,000 block of Rincon Way reported someone had opened a Verizon account in her name. And 5:08 p.m., a 911 caller on 12,000 block of Low Hills Road reported residential burglary jewelry was reportedly taken. At 6:01 p.m., deputies issued a "Be on the lookout" for two runaway juvenile boys last seen heading towards North San Juan through the woods on foot. They were reportedly back at home by 6:46. In Grass Valley Police Department on Thursday, 7:01 a.m., Grass Valley police officers went to interagency assist in Nevada City after a caller from 200 block of Broad Street reported at least 50 hypodermic needles next to a camper behind a hotel. At 7:32 a.m., a caller from Sutton Way reported subjects sleeping in a van that had been there overnight. At 8:45 a.m., a caller from 200 block of Jorsky Drive reported that a bus driver on her child's route had been placing hands on students to make them sit down. At 10:52 a.m., a caller from 300 block of Mill Street reported a possible transient sleeping on the driveway. At 11:15 a.m., a caller from 200 block of Rhode Island Street reported he found two subjects sleeping in the garage in his vacant house. He also found that he suspected to be stolen mail in the garage. After the suspects fled, the man requested additional patrols. At 3:13 p.m., a caller from 300 block of Bennett Street reported a vandalism case. At 3:16 p.m., a caller from 2000 block of Nevada City Highway requested a case number for theft occurred December 15th. At 7:20 p.m., a 911 caller from 500 block of Crown Point Circle reported two male subjects with a motorcycle siphoning gas out of a county van. At 8:43 p.m., a caller from 300 block on Miners Trail reported that trespassers may be filling a French drain in her backyard with dirt and rocks. In Nevada City Police Department on Thursday, 3:22 p.m., officers conducted a welfare check on 600 block of West Broad Street. And that's it for the blotter today. Now, none thanks to one of our underwriters who supports your only visual video news media in Nevada County. That's right, it's us, GVTV News. In today's local news headlines, Shop with Cops. Grass Valley Police Officers Association takes kids on shopping spree. And spontaneous combustion makes oily rags catch fire in downtown Nevada City. Our first story, Grass Valley Police Officers, volunteers, and of course Santa and Mrs. Claus made a morning December 13 a very special one for a number of local children. For the 23rd year, the association put together its Caring and Sharing program, which began in 1991. The program is designed to help less fortunate children in the community while building positive relationships between law enforcement, children, and their families. Children are referred to the program from community members as well as other public service agencies. Local residents were invited to visit the Grass Valley Police Department lobby, 129 South Auburn Street, to take a tag from the wishing tree. Each of the tags had a child's name, gender, age, and wish list item. Individuals could also make monetary donations. Then Grass Valley Police officers got busy wrapping all the amazing gifts. On December 13th, the children spent their morning at Grass Valley's Kmart shopping with officers or volunteers before taking Durham transportation to IHOP for breakfast, meeting with Santa Claus, and then gave them gift purchases by the community members. Association President Brian Hooper thanked everyone who made the event a reality, including those who sponsored the child from the wishing tree, saying their support and overwhelming generosity allowed children from the community to purchase several presents, bicycle of their choice, and an opportunity to meet and receive more gifts from Santa Claus. Without the support and the dedication from each individual and business involved, this program would not be a success, Hooper added. Among those who helped out, Hooper named Susan and Guthrie Kraut, Fisher Towing, Gold Standard Plumbing, Peters Drilling and Pump Service, Mill Street Clothing Company, Chicago Park Garden Club, Kilroy's Tow, North Star Trucking, The Range, Chris's Auto Body and Glass, A&A Air Conditioning, Helen Emerson, Grass Valley Police Volunteer Group, Foothill Mercantiles, Trips Auto Body, and Deanne and Warren Davis, as well as IHOP and its staff, Kmart and its staff, Paula Davis, and Durham School Services. Just before 7 a.m. Friday morning, firefighters were dispatched to a report of a smoke at 109 North Pine Street, sounds familiar, in downtown Nevada City. Second and third floor of the building were filled with smoke, so they took a look at Friar Tuck's restaurant again. That's when we discovered a pile of oily rags that had been stored improperly and had spontaneously combusted, said Nevada City Fire Chief Sam Goodspeed. Goodspeed said the chemical reactions in the rags caused them to ignite, but their effective burned themselves out without the fire spreading to the structure. It wasn't actually a fire, said Julie Tost, manager of Friar Tuck's. There were just some rags combusting. They didn't have to put water on anything or put anything out. Goodspeed said once firefighters located the smoking rags, they were able to remove them from the structure. After that, they spent nearly an hour ventilating the building with fans to create positive air pressure and push the smoke out. Goodspeed said that the spontaneous combustion is uncommon but not unheard of. It happens more often than you think, he said. With people using stains, for instance, when they stain their deck, they have oily rags, they store them improperly, and you'll have an ignition. We've seen it happen in furniture and auto repair, but I wouldn't call it a common occurrence. Goodspeed added that foul play was not being considered as a possible factor, and that investigators had a high level of confidence about the source of the ignition. Toss said the restaurant would be open Friday night and all systems were go. Friar Tuck's and the original building that housed the restaurant was the scene of a March 2002 fire that gutted the building, resulting in a current 3-story building with more than 23,000 square feet being built for approximately $3.5 million and opened in 2003. And just Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.